service to others and to foster an awareness of appreciation of diversity through activities and experiences. And whereas the National Youth Program is open to Catholic girls ages 6 through 18 years of age, whereas Pope Benedict XVI has declared this year the Year of Faith, a moment of grace and commitment to a more complete conversion, now it be resolved that each junior Catholic daughter participate in programs which strengthen their faith, enhance their personal and spiritual growth, and develop leadership skills, and be it further resolved that through their works of charity and commitment to service, they become the light of the youth of their communities.
Mayor, I'd like to get a picture of y'all.
I'm going to take a few, okay, so just bear with me. You ready? Hang on. Here we go. Now you move closer. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go on to item 3B, consideration and action to approve expenditure for purchase of a ticket writer from Rouse's Communications for the Floresville Police Department. Mr. Evans? I'm sorry, Lieutenant Evans. I'm correct.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to tease you a little bit. Mayor, Council, thank you for seeing me this afternoon on a busy schedule. We have busy schedules. What we've got is a packet that you received was basically information regarding the hardware and software for electronic ticket writing equipment for the police department. What the equipment will do is it will eliminate the need for the 4 copies signed here, press hard, that probably most of us have signed at one time or another. And it will eliminate the tracking of that paperwork, which is unnecessary due to current technologies. We think it's by far a great advancement for the police department to purchase this system. The system will cost no less than $27,000. There may be some other costs related to the equipment, hardware and software, but based on the packet that I gave you, right now it's at $27,087, and the total annual fees after 1 year and for every year will be about $2,000. What we're asking for is permission from you as the governing body of the courts, the municipal courts technology fund, to agree to release $7,000 as agreed to is not a good word. Laura Fegans, who's not here, stated that $7,000 was the appropriate amount that that fund could spend this year. Okay, that fund, which is received by the city from ticket writing, is specifically for court technologies. Okay, it's got to be used for a specific amount of things, or a very limited amount of things: computers, hardware, software, or something of the like, and specifically ticket writers is listed. With that $7,000 that we're asking you to approve, we have a $3,000 grant from Click It or Ticket that we're going to apply to this same purchase. That was already approved by TxDOT, and we thank TxDOT for the grant. The remaining cost will come from our seizure fund, which is spent at the sole discretion of the chief of police. And he has agreed that 17 to 18,000 is not an issue, that he believes we should spend on this technology. It'd be a good thing for the city, good thing for the police department, good thing for citizens. So that's what we're asking. This packet is considered basically the budget from our standpoint, where the money is going. And those are the three funding sources that we're using. Of course, none of this will cost taxpayers a penny. It's not costing, it's not coming out of the general fund whatsoever. So it's existing funds and the grant that we've received where we want to spend it. So specifically, the request has to do with the technology fund. But of course, we would like your approval for all of it.
How many cops do you have, or how many police officers, vehicles do you have running at a time throughout the day and
Sure.
in different shifts?
It depends on the time of day. The heaviest times are going to be in the evenings where we have 3 officers. And unless it's once a week, we have both shifts on duty where they're allowed to either take off, catch up on paperwork, or we hit traffic really hard. Those times we may have as many as 6 officers on duty. Doesn't happen very often. What ends up happening is, and that's a long story, Councilman, I'd be glad to get into with you at any time, but that scheduling once a week would be the overload. Typically it's 3 in the evening, 2 in the afternoon, day shift.
So technically with the 4, it'll be sufficient for the police officers that are patrolling at the time.
Sure.
Basically what I'm trying to get at is that if there's, say, 6 vehicles running at a time and you only have 4 of the readers,
Correct.
basically 2 of them will have to be writing citations with paper anyways.
That's
And
correct.
so you'll technically be having the secretary, whoever may be doing the paperwork to,
Sure.
you know.
That's technically correct. The way we work our shifts, though, is no more than 4 officers will be running traffic at a time, basically. If we've got those 2 officers actually on duty and not burning up vacation leave or sick leave, going to the dentist, or working on reports in the office, they'll be doing, special projects. We've got bike patrol officers and other things, so they'll be pretty busy. And the reason we went with 4 is because they have a power package that comes with 4 units, and it's a base system that charges. The system comes with 4 chargers, and it's a good setup for us. If we went further, we would increase disproportionately the amount of money we'd spend. So this was the right package for us. Very seldom will we actually have more than 4 guys on the road, and the odds of them, more than 4 of them running the traffic is very slim, because others will be on, like I said, calls for service and doing numerous other things. So
How much time will this save?
we don't have exact, I don't have a guesstimate from Brazos Technology, but it's going to save huge amounts of time. The time that it takes to physically write with this technology that can swipe a card, punch in the violation, have the person sign, take a picture with it, and send them on their way is less than 2 minutes, where it takes sometimes 10 minutes to fill out all the paperwork, go and gather the information, go back and sit down, write it out, walk back, get them to sign. Huge amount of time just on the traffic stop. Then having to process the paperwork and keep track of those 4 copies and send them where they're supposed to be is not automatic as it would be with this technology. So the amount of, lots of time.
Is there any other company that you all looked into, or is it just a specific one?
No, there are other companies. Brazos Technologies software is proprietary, so it's specific to this company. And based on, based on our knowledge of other agencies in the area who use it successfully, it integrates with other systems easily. It's the best software in our opinion from this company. Others are not as, they don't link as well as they should. This software is going to have to link with our encode system to the judge's office, and they don't have issues with that from our understanding. Sometimes other companies will. So this is why we're going with this technology. They're also on the GSA purchasing system, and I don't remember the other acronym, but it's a very common technology, so it's proven it's a good technology.
Jesse, you said that this would cost no less than 27.
Correct.
If there's a more cost, will that be coming from the seizure fund?
Well, it would have to. Other than, the only thing we hadn't really discussed was the encode interfacing, connecting their software with encode, and I think that's a one-time fee of $2,750. And it's the only thing that we had not looked at. It's not going to be in your packets. I called Brazos today to verify everything was accurate. I called them yesterday and today. And it's not their fee, but because we use encode in the court system, there will have to be some integration. So there will be another one-time fee of $2,750, not from Brazos, but from encode, so that they can integrate with it. Okay? So that's actually not part of this budget. Where that money comes from, it's unimportant to me. You know, if it needs to come from the seizure fund, we've already, you know, the chief's already agreed, we've agreed, it doesn't matter exactly where it comes from. We've got 3,000, like I said, from the grant, 7,000 from the court. The seizure fund will probably have to pay for the bulk of the rest of it. So,
how much does the seizure fund usually bring in?
There's no typical, Councilman. The seizure fund depends entirely upon our narcotics enforcement and other criminal enforcement. I say entirely. All criminal enforcement. The seizure fund comes from seizing criminal instruments, which with drug dealers, it's their money. They're the other things that they use. And if it's not money, if it's actual items of property, we sell that and we take the money. We split the proceeds 70-30 with the DA's office because they process all the paperwork. And then what's left, we get to use. The Code of Criminal Procedure says we get to spend that on for law enforcement purposes only. And that's what we're doing. But there's no typical. We've got about $25,000 in the budget, and that's taken years to develop. You know, some years we may seize, $1,000. Some years it may be $10,000. If we had a narcotics task force, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it just depends.
So you don't see a problem getting approximately $19,000 from the seizure fund?
Well, we have $25,000 available to spend, so it's gonna minimize the fund, but I think it's well worth it. Is our opinion from the police department. We think it's well worth it. We're not gonna let the money just sit there. It needs to be spent on something we can use and use to benefit this city. So.
What other departments are using this technology?
I can't remember, but there was a. Let me see here.
Is this the one that DPS uses?
I know. I don't know if it's this one or not, but I know Bexar County uses it. I know Leon Valley uses it. I believe we had a list of all the area agencies, and it was most of them. Like Shadow Park. Just most of the San Antonio area agencies were using this system, from what I recall.
Rodriguez is my address. The comptroller where she came from, Elgin, and other cities that she's been, they've utilized that, and she highly recommended it, and that's why that was another work in progress with the lieutenant to say, yes, this is good money to spend, and yes, your seizure money is your money to spend as the chief sees fit, but she wanted to make sure it all came to council for approval.
previous years, what else has come out of this technology fund?
The judge has purchased computers and stuff for her office.
But nothing, and 7,000 is in the technology fund?
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question about that, specifically in the financial report that we received at the last city council meeting. I'm looking at municipal court technology, and it shows total revenue of $3,103.65 in the report that I have.
That's correct, because it is a restricted fund, and as you had asked the comptroller on the next report, you want all the monies that we got, all the restricted funds are kept in a separate.
Well, I'm looking at the municipal court technology fund report.
That's correct, but that's what's generated currently in this
Well,
budget
then-
cycle.
How much money's in this fund if my report only says we have $3,103.65?
I'd have to get that from the comptroller.
Okay. I've got several questions on this, Lieutenant. And
I'm gonna have to be excused because I had a Valentine's and I know I should have been here, but I think this meeting was gonna take that long and I had to be at Troy Riders at a party and I had to be excused. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
when I look through, I'm concerned about your comment about other costs, two specifically.
Thank you.
One, the encode piece. We've had numerous challenges with the encode piece. I'm uncomfortable approving something until we have finalized what those costs are and its integration into the municipal court. Secondly, as I look through the documentation, there is a cellular data charge to this above and beyond that annual fee. Have we looked into what that cost will be to the police department?
There's not a charge.
There's a requirement for a cellular data plan for the device.
If we use the TLET system, which we're not using.
Okay, well then the information I had was not complete.
What's not complete, sir?
Well, I mean, in the package that I received, it stated that it required a coordination with either AT&T or Sprint.
If you use if you want the specific.
But my point is,
Well, there's not, what I'm saying is there's not a cost for that.
okay,
And in your packets, it's very specific. If we go with a system where we can auto-download, whether someone's got warrants, we can bypass dispatch, where we can find out if a vehicle's stolen immediately. then
that wasn't my question, Lieutenant, that wasn't my question. But let me go to the next point on this thing. We talk about return on investment. If we're going to spend $31,000 plus on something, I'm concerned, yes, that it's great technology, great, it's going to improve time. The municipal judge has said that, yes, this would be an improvement for her, but given, the financial needs of this city, I'm very, very concerned about return on investment and would like to have some kind of summary of what we're going to actually be saving. Is it purely man hours? If it's saving 10 minutes of traffic stop, how many traffic stops are we doing in a year? What's the dollar value to this technology? So as a result of my concerns, specifically, what is the return on the investment on this thing? And two, to ensure the encode connection and that we can validate what that cost is going to be. And lastly, to get the financials as it relates to this court technology fund, I'm going to move to table the expenditure approval of expenditure for purchase of a ticket rider from Brazos Communications for the Floresville Police Department.
Lieutenant, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Either I heard or I read in this package
Sure.
that when y'all write that ticket, that it disperses immediately once you're done. When you send it, it goes straight to the police department and straight to the judge's office.
Correct.
Before you ever return back to your office,
It's immediate,
right?
yes.
Therefore allowing you more time to continue making traffic stops.
I would say that the average ticket takes no less than 5 minutes to write. This takes, on average, no more than 2 minutes to write. So we cut the time in half just on the highway. Now imagine the difference between collecting physical tickets, taking them to the office, tearing off individual copies to keep your copies at the office, bringing copies to the judge so that she physically has to look at them, file them, keep track of them in file cabinets as paperwork versus instantly being filed at both the police department and the magistrate's office, and then being trackable immediately. How much time does that save? Cuts it in less than half.
You say that it takes 5 minutes to write a ticket, and I'm going to differ with you on that, because if you're stopping a woman, she's going to argue to get out of that ticket. It's going to take you more
It
than
may
5
take
minutes.
you longer to get a ticket than me, but, and I've also got to disagree with the councilman. I was very specific. The interface costs $27.50. That's it. That's what it costs for Encode. You know, the other costs that are not listed is what I'm talking about. The $27.50 to interface with the judge's technology. That's the other cost.
Lieutenant,
That's a one-time
Sure.
fee? That's a one-time
Yes,
fee?
that's a one-time fee to integrate with that software. Absolutely.
Lieutenant, how long does it take for implementation once we approve this?
Well, it's going to take a few days to train people, to get all of our people trained. How long it will take them to send someone down, put us on the schedule, and integrate the software and place it at our agency. You know, I truly don't know. They seem to be pretty responsive, so it's like anything else. They're trying to sell their technology and their equipment. You know, they tell us they'll do it as soon as possible, within a few weeks. I would imagine it may take a little longer than that.
From your information, it sounds like they're going to get OJT also, on-the-job training.
Yes, ma'am, that's part of the
How
cost.
long will someone remain here after the implementation to follow up on questions or what have you? Do they remain?
I think that's answered one of the.
I'm not sure if I understand.
Are you talking about customer support?
Yes, the support, because technology always needs support, so do you have
Sure.
support?
Well, that's part of, there's the yearly, if you look on your second page, there's the annual fees after 1 year,
Okay.
and that includes, those upgrades of software, any changes. But most of the changes, if it's not from the hardware, will come from us as we deem necessary to change what we need to on the
So the
system.
approval you're seeking from us today is for how much?
The only approval I'm seeking today is spend $7,000 from the judge's
That's what I
fund.
thought.
We've
Thank
got $3,000 from the
You've
grant.
got the remainder.
We're gonna spend the rest from our seizure fund. That's what we're gonna do. We would like, and the judge has agreed, this is a good technology for her. We all agree that this is a good technology and we'd like to implement it. So we're asking for the $7,000 approval.
You said that it does not require any type of AT&T or...
Here's what it does, Councilman. What's listed late in the packet as part of, I don't know if it's hardware or software, is there's the ability for us, as we're writing a ticket, okay, we've got the little machine. We take someone's driver's license and run it through. That machine has a capability through a wireless connection, through a phone company, to connect with the Texas law enforcement system that will run background checks to see if somebody has any warrants. It can also do it for vehicles. Once you type in the license plate and tell us if that vehicle's wanted, okay? That's a considerable expense, and we currently use dispatch for that, and we will continue to do that. If in the future we have more money, we can always add that if we choose.
But other than that, you would scan the license and it will stay logged into the handheld?
Sure, it's just the information for our system. It won't be logging into the statewide system that tells us if they have warrants or if the vehicle is stolen.
Well, how does it get the ticket from 181 and 97 wirelessly to the judge's office?
Through the hardware that they install. It's not through a state system.
Okay, well, it's a wireless connection that is going to transfer the data,
Okay.
okay? It's not like we have hardware cables that go from the judge's office to each of these devices. What transmits
That would
that
not make
data?
any sense, I agree.
What transmits the data?
The machine itself.
Well, that's why my concern, Lieutenant, is if I look on page 12 of your document here, it says it includes AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint cellular capability. If we're going to submit this ticket wirelessly, we have to do it over some network. I know the city doesn't have a wireless network, so we're talking about cellular data to do this.
That's what I was trying to get at, Mr. Jesse, Lieutenant, that, in order to transmit this information, some type of wireless internet, some type of connection would need to be established in order to link it within to make it efficient as y'all want it to be.
Sure.
And the way it's explaining here is that it is requiring that it does need to have some type of Sprint, some type of AT&T in order to make it work. Which also would be another expense as to,
Page 12.
Okay.
which would be another expense to make it work, to make it, this capability, all the capability that y'all are looking for.
I'm not sure if this system is like that. Some systems operate off a cellular data network. I've seen other systems for other police departments that use this, and for their video dash cam, what they have is a wireless link to the police station. When the officers pull in to the station, then the information is downloaded into a computer system. I don't know which one it is. Those type of systems don't require a wireless connection, but I think this one, I don't know if this one might or not, but I've seen that as well, where you don't have to have a wireless carrier system, but when the officer goes back into the station, there's a device that uploads it.
About our dashboard cameras have the ability to download with without using a phone system. Pull up to the police department, it automatically downloads. But we don't have the hardware in our office to do that.
But the way I'm reading it, it seems that it is, I think it's a very great thing, but, I do see that there's some type of, there's some holes in the system, and that we're lacking a little bit of information here to possibly make a decision on it.
Jesse, what happens if an individual stops and doesn't have a driver's license? I think I read somewhere in here that is this a system where they could use the credit card or some other?
No, they would just manually put the stuff in there. The exact answer to your question, Councilman, is I don't know if it is, if the system has a certain distance, but there's no fee for us. There's no wireless carrier fee for us to use this system as we're requesting. Whether it's the wired technology that goes so far where our vehicles have to be in this perimeter to transmit is what I'm talking about. There is no wireless fee. The only wireless fee would be if, like I said, we use the statewide system, which we're not asking.
What I'm understanding from this is that it's not going to be done wirelessly, like you've explained, that you actually have to go into a docking system that is integrated into
That's my mistake, Councilman.
into the internet system that will then be sent out into to the municipal courts, to wherever it needs to be done.
Right.
So,
And that's
technically, you would have to be downloading it occasionally or daily or however.
No, every day, because we have 4 of them. The officers would place them in the system, and once they're placed in the charger, they're getting charged, they're being downloaded using the internet system that we currently have. And that was my mistake. You're correct.
So your expenditure is just gonna be what you're saying you're gonna expend.
Correct.
You're gonna dock, and that's gonna
Right.
shoot towards the city.
Right. In other words, it's not automatic. As soon as they finish with the ticket, once they're finished with the day, and they put it in the docking station, it'll be done.
I'm going to reiterate my motion to table, specifically based upon the fund balance that was reported to the council for the court technology fund. I don't see $7,000 there. I only see $3,103.65.
I think given the circumstances, I do believe a little bit more information is gonna have to be presented, specifically on the financial side, from Ms. Fagan or from the city manager, just to give us a little bit more insight as to, we are in a very difficult financial situation right now, and I see it that we shouldn't diminish all of our, or deplete off the funds in this technology. That's why I asked the question if, any other technologies or that fund that where it's, if making sure that there's no other funds coming out of that. But I second to table it at this time.
Can I have a motion to table by Councilman Miller, second by Councilman Rodriguez? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3-1.
Thank you, Council.
Mayor,
Yes.
on item A, the approval of the proclamation, did we take a vote? I don't believe we took a vote on that. Should I need you to take a vote on that?
Okay,
No.
can I have a motion on that proclamation?
I make a motion to approve the proclamation for the Junior Catholic Arts of Americas.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Rodriguez, second by Councilman Miller. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now we're going to go on to item 3C. Consideration and action to approve or ratify the submittal of the voluntary annexation on the McCoy's development on Highway 181 North. Cindy?
Yes, ma'am, it's pretty, I'll make it as simple as I can. McCoy's has submitted to be volunteer annex, and if you'll have it on your, the information that was submitted to you in your packets. What I've given you right before the meeting is the same thing, except it's just adding the petition and all the necessary documents needed for the voluntary annexation. If you look on the exhibit, you'll see what McCoy's wants to annex. And it's going to be page 2 of 2, the annexation exhibit. It's going to be from the city limit sign, which is right there by Roper's, the storage business there. And it's going to be approximately 24.4 acres of the right-of-way, the textile right-of-way, all the way to County Road. On the right-hand side, it's County Road 330. On the left-hand slope, that's already, the one is 130. They're also annexing their property, which is the 15.466 acre tract. And I'm open for questions. And I also have Bill Gabler here from McCoy's if you have any questions for him.
Just one question. Are we annexing part of the county road?
If you look at your exhibit, it's only up to the property, not the county road.
So we're not going into the county road to the north or to the east of the McCoy's property?
Right.
Next question, and I think Mr. Rosenberg explained this, I just don't recall it. How can a property owner voluntarily annex the right-of-way in front of property that doesn't belong to him?
Well, it is necessary to do a voluntary annexation. It is necessary to be contiguous. And TxDOT does not necessarily have to approve their right-of-way. It's just simply to approve, to make it contiguous to their property.
What about the property owners?
It's not annexing the property.
I
owners.
understand that, okay, but,
Yeah.
I mean, this has the potential to affect the property owners along there. Was there any consultation with the property owners about this annexation, in that it wasn't going to affect them, or how it wasn't going to affect them?
This is kind of a special situation because those property owners, it was in the 3 to 5 year plan for the mass annexation plan. They weren't notified. We haven't gotten to that process yet because after this submittal's been approved, then we go through to do the service plan, which involves public hearings and more approvals from council.
My concern is that we're approving the voluntary annexation of a roadway in front of property owners. You know, if I were the property owner and was not consulted that, hey, this big right-of-way that serves as the way for customers to get to my business is being annexed by the city, and I wasn't consulted, I would be concerned. I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but I think that deserves some question.
It doesn't affect, what we're annexing is a state right-of-way, and it continues to be a state right-of-way from the day we annexed the McCoys to what it is now. So what is it going to affect how is it going to affect those property owners? It's not at all. It's a state right-of-way that belongs to the state, and they have said you can voluntarily annex that, and it's not going to change anything for those property owners.
Any other questions? Then can I have a motion?
Yes, Mayor. I move to approve, ratify the submittal of the voluntary annexation of the McCoy development at Highway 181 North.
One second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Castillo, a second by Councilman Guerrero. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1. Okay, now we're going to item D, consideration and action to approve the professional planning services agreement by Stewart Planning Consulting for the land use plan.
Okay, I'll just go through this. The land use plan, it is a requirement for us to start with the impact fee process, and we all know how important it is to get that going for the impact fees. The plan it's going to involve 3 tasks. Task 1 is your future land use plan. It's going to facilitate up to 5 on-site meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission, develop a future land use plan in a draft format. The plan consists of 2 components, a map and a set of written goals, policies, and actions. It is anticipated that the future land use plan will be incorporated into the current master plan. The SBC will prepare the draft future land use map. They'll present the draft future land use plan, the map and text, to the City Council at a public hearing for consideration, direction, action, adoption. It incorporates up to 2 rounds of changes to the future land use plan and provide up to 15 hard copies of the text, up to 3 copies of the map, and complete digital copies. And there's also an addition to what the original plan consisted. The addition is going to be in coordination with a designated committee for form probability of development occurrence, weighting to the future land use plan to arrive at a future land use assumptions map as specified under Texas Local Government Code 395.0015 and provide a written summary in addition to the map. The task 2 is a zoning ordinance assistance. It will be concurrent with the development of the draft future land use map. The SBC will provide recommendations for changes to the zoning regulations, including the zoning map, to address the concerns about temporary uses. Mapping. The SBC will prepare a draft zoning map in digital format and hard copy for review and comment based on current zoning. And the task 3 is the annexation plan. Concurrent with the development of future land use plan, SBC will review the current annexation plan. Mapping the SBC will prepare a recommended draft annexation plan in digital format and hard copy for review and comment. The client, which will be us, will pay to consultant the following, the fees. Task 1, the future land use plan, will be $12,750. The task 2, which is the zoning ordinance assistance, is $1,680. Task 3, the annexation plan, is $600. The total amount is $15,030. Our Planning and Zoning Committee unanimously voted to approve this 4-0. Total project duration would be approximately 60 to 75 days. A moratorium was set for 18 months, which is retroactively effective as of October 4th, 2012. It will give us, we have until April 4th, 2014 for the moratorium to end. That's the 18th month. I spoke with the comptroller, and she has informed me, Ms. Laura Fagans, that this will be funded under general fund professional fees. I also took the task of calling some references that were presented to us. I only had one who returned my call. I spoke with Robert Stricker, who's the Director of Development Services, City of Cibolo. He had nothing but really good things to say about this company. He was very satisfied. His words were, he was very satisfied